Welcome back to the Daily Grind, where we deliver new content every week. My name is Kevin J. Mack, Exit 160 Entertainment, and if you are remotely interested in drawing, comics, and how-to tutorials, you are definitely in the right place. Also, as a quick reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Today is the final video of a three-part series on what I discovered from planning and how it helps speed up my workflow when creating digital art in Clip Studio Paint. So I highly recommend, if you haven't already seen part 1 and part 2, that you go back and do so. The links are in the description below. So without further ado, we're going to take this piece of ink work and we're going to apply some color using Clip Studio Paint. So let's go. All right, guys, before we get into it, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you hit that subscribe button below to get the latest and greatest updates for future videos. So let's get right into it. Part 3 of this short 3-part tutorial. Again, if you missed part 1 and 2, I highly recommend that you go back and check those videos out, because there are a few golden nuggets that you can use once you are ready to start your next project. Now, coloring is an important part in the process that I look forward to, because there are some times where you may have feel that you may have messed up your whole entire project, only to stumble across a new technique that you can use later in your bag of tricks. So you're going to see me try a few things throughout this phase, and hopefully it comes out looking somewhat decent. Again, I'm roughly 15 years removed from all of this, so I'm taking every day to get better and become more efficient from start to finish. Which leads me into the third installment of this 3-part video. And if you have seen parts 1 and 2, you should know about the 6 P's. Now, starting a new project can sometimes be scary, from figuring out character layouts to shading color schemes. The start of a project is undoubtedly one of the most dreaded stages of design. But what if it doesn't have to be so? What if there was a way to make sure that you never run out of ideas to begin with? A way to ensure that you know how to deal with every blank canvas that comes your way? One word: plan. So before you go into your next project, you want to make sure that you have a solid plan in order, because in the end, nobody likes headaches. And if you have a plan, a good plan, that's just one thing that you don't have to worry about. But as crazy as it may sound, planning is one of the most important skills that you can have as a graphic artist, designer, illustrator, content creator. I mean, to some, planning is somewhat irrelevant to a graphic design. I mean, I get it. Why bother planning when you can just dive right into the creative phase, right? Wrong. Unless you don't mind spending that extra 20 hours on a project doing practically nothing important. But if you rather get things done right the first few times, remember the 6 P's, because planning prior is your best bet. Now, which brings us to the question: what exactly is planning, and why should you care? Now, I would define planning as the formative stage in any given project. It doesn't disturb your creative process, rather it enhances it. In my experience, a good planning session doesn't even take a lot of time and energy. In most cases, I would spend anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour making sure that I have all of the resources that I need for that particular project. And what I will learn in that time is that the things that I were able to figure out ultimately is going to ensure that my project moves along a lot faster and smoother, and it gets me to the finish line in record time. A good planning session before beginning each project not only gets the creative juices flowing, but it also saves you time, sets you apart from most designers, and ultimately makes you a superstar to your clients. So when should you plan? A brilliant philosopher by the name of Sun Tzu once said, "Every battle is won before it is even fought." This ultimately means that before you fire up Clip Studio Paint, Adobe Photoshop, or any other graphic design program out there, that you have your plan on lock. Now, if design planning is about setting the overall tone of a project, it's only right that you define the design goal before approaching it creatively. Now, what you want to do is you want to figure out the specifics of your design goal early, and you will find that it will save you time, money, and energy, and in the long run help create a mental image of what your design will ultimately look like so that you can draw it accordingly. All right, so what should you plan? Now comes the exciting part, because each design project is unique and cannot be approached the same way, right? More so, every designer has their methods, so planning is going to be sometimes different. While some projects may require long hours, days, or even months, or multiple rundowns, others can be up and running after only a few minutes of planning. Now, as a rule of thumb, I'll share a few universal pointers to best approach any graphic design project. All right, so just like most things, you want to make sure that you do some research. One of my favorite parts of design is the research portion, because this is one of those things that doesn't seem like it changes much, but trust me, it does, and it's one of the most important things to consider for any designer who wants to be great. So believe me when I say research can put you 2 steps ahead of the competition in this game called design. So please take this step very seriously. Now, here you get to learn about a few things. You get to learn about backstories, design concepts, logo meanings, all the stuff that makes your whole creative process that much more smoother. When you start to design, it becomes so much easier to place each object where they should when you know the stories behind each character. Although research takes more time and effort, which explains why most designers avoid it, the benefits far outweigh the stress. All right, so here's another tip. And this is something that a lot of people tend to pass over, and that is brainstorming, all right, before you sketch. Most designs, the good ones at least, don't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes throwing all of your ideas randomly at a sketch pad or paper, good or bad. The important thing is to just draw it out, and if it gets too stressful, sometimes you just got to take a breather. But you want to take this time to kind of brainstorm your ideas, all right? Now, this is something that I had to work through during my first video, but you will be surprised on how many actual good ideas you pick up when you take the time to brainstorm. Sketching allows you to create designs quickly and without boundaries. When you sketch, be as random as you are definitive. Don't hold back from drawing, and this is the case when you are applying ink and color. Stay as loose as you can possibly be and be as free as you want to be. Remember, there's no one around to judge. Now, you also want to find inspiration everywhere. You can always go back and refine your ideas as you go. Understand that while most designers may, or some designers may argue that planning has nothing to do with creativity, it can potentially change the way you go into a project and set you miles ahead in the game. I've seen it firsthand. The more that you learn about a project before you start, the easier and smoother the transition is going to be from start to finish, and you're going to get that final look that you've always been looking for. All right, guys, so sorry for the long pause. Just like I stated earlier in the video, I'm going to be working with some of the different blending modes. And this is one of the things that you don't want to do. And this is why planning is very important in the process, because I'm at a point now in the composition where I'm just trying to figure out what looks right. And, so just bear with me. Sometimes it's happened. You kind of get ahead of yourself, and eventually you do figure something out, and you do come out with a product that looks pretty good. So just bear with me. All right, guys, so we're definitely getting kind of close. One of the most exciting parts of the coloring process is defining the light source. So I am going to quickly start blotting in a lot of the parts of the composition where the light is going to hit. So this can definitely enhance your look. So I'm excited to see how this thing gets completed. All right, so it has been a pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed sharing some of my thoughts in terms of how planning can speed up my workflow as I'm going into a project. As we get to the final stages of this video, I want to leave you with a few points. Always remember that design is a process. You don't have to follow the rules in order to become successful in your own right. You can always start where you want and revisit other steps as you go. Now, before you take on another project, really take a look at your approach to planning prior to starting that project. The last thing that we want to do is for you to rush to failure. The more that you prep, the easier the process is going to be. Trust me, I know this firsthand. But anyway, you guys have been listening to me for the past 15 or so minutes, and I would love to hear back from you all. So here's a question that I want to pose. So how do you plan before going into your design? If you feel as if I missed some steps, or you want to share a few tips, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, kindly like and subscribe, and I'll be sure to update you on more insightful content like this to better grow as a graphic designer. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and join the Exit 160 movement. Peace.